guys, welcome back to my channel. So this video is going to be a little bit about the reasons why I left Adelaide and also where I'm going to be moving to next. So originally I filmed this video a few days ago, but I wasn't very happy with the content that was in it, and also just the audio was a little bit muffled. So I'm reshooting it right now. I wanted to do a video on moving to different cities and just my thoughts on it. I want to do a disclaimer as well. This is just my experience of it, so I don't want to sound like I'm coming off as pretentious or that I'm spoiled, because everyone's journey is different. And I feel like I'm really lucky to even have the opportunity to even do something like this. If you didn't know already, I'm from Adelaide. And even though I lived in Melbourne for probably most of my childhood, I would still say that I grew up in Adelaide, just because I did the last part of my high schooling and university years there. So Adelaide's one of those cities that are really good if you really enjoy the outdoors. It has awesome beaches. The beaches run all the way down the coastline, and in a way it's kind of like LA, where you have these hills and mountains that wrap themselves all the way around the suburban areas of Adelaide, which is good because there's a lot of hikes that are only about 30-ish minutes out of the city, so you don't have to travel too far. It's one of those cities where it's really easy to make friends because I guess it's so small. It's one of those cities where everyone sort of just knows each other. And I guess this can sort of be interpreted as a good or bad thing. It's also one of those cities where you kind of need to have a car because the public transport system, it kind of sucks. You never know if your bus is going to rock up on time or not. When I was there, I only took public transport like maybe 3 or 4 times out of the 10-ish years that I've lived there. But in saying that you need a car, everything's so close together that driving to and from the city or driving to and from other people's houses or going to the beach, it's really easy. And because the ocean sits on the west side of the city, you get these amazing sunsets where the light sort of refracts off the water and it can send the whole entire sky pink. And during summer, it won't really get dark until about 9 p.m. But one of the bad things about that is a lot of the places close at 5 p.m. So you could literally finish work at 5 p.m. and there would almost be nowhere else to go, or it might be really hard to go and do your shopping there. So you could finish work at 5 p.m. but all of the shops will be closed, except for Woolies and Coles and a few other places that you can eat out at. I'd say for the most part, growing up in Adelaide was a really great experience. I made heaps of friends during uni, and I really hope these friendships carry on into my adulthood and later years in life. So if Adelaide is so great, how come I wanted to leave? So after uni, I was in that grey area, that area between getting your full-time job and also finishing university. And it's one of those things where you don't really have a planned out direction with your life, or at least for me in my experience. So I always knew that I was going to go to school, go to uni, then get a job. But what they don't really tell you at university, and I guess it's kind of privileged for me to expect this, just because you've got a degree doesn't mean that you'll get a job instantaneously. And for me, that put me in this route where I didn't really know what I was doing with my life. It didn't really feel like I was working towards anything, and I was actually quite lucky because I still had my job that I had during university, working at a pool shop and being one of those pool boys. And pretty much for the most part, I worked there for about 7 years, and it was a really awesome job. But I felt quite stagnant in my life as well. I knew that I wanted to get a job that related to my degree, but it was just really hard. Probably because I didn't put that much effort into uni that I should have, and I had really bad marks. But in saying that, I had a really good social life instead. But in saying that, I was in this really bad state, I would say, just handing out jobs and resumes and always constantly being rejected. And because it didn't really feel like it was going anywhere, it was kind of discouraging. But I think that's another topic that I can talk about another day. Just that grey area between going to university and getting your first full-time job. Anyway, from what seemed like countless resumes that I handed in, I did manage to get a job, but it wasn't in the field that I wanted to pursue long term. And I guess for me, that's when I started feeling like quite comfortable with what was going on in my life. But for me as a core, I really think what drives me is new experiences. And that's one of the things that motivated me to join the military, was the opportunity to live away from home, as well as all of the experiences you can get from it. And I remember before joining, I was like a little bit still on the fence with it all, because I was feeling quite comfortable in Adelaide. You know, I had all of my friends there, I had my family there, but other than that, I didn't really have anything else tying me down. But I know for me, If I don't do something, then I know that I'm going to regret it for ages and let it sit on my shoulder. And as cliche as this sounds, I'd rather do something and regret it than not do it at all. And I actually feel super grateful that I didn't really have any commitments holding me back at home. Whereas I know for other people, they might have family they feel like they need to take care of, or they have partners that they want to be with. But yeah, I've just had friends and family that will always support me for whatever I want to do, which I'm super grateful for. And even though I'm away from them for the most part of the year, it makes seeing them extra special. You know, it's one of those things where distance makes the heart grow fonder. So in all of that, where will I be moving to next? I originally wanted to move to Sydney, mostly for the fish markets and the ABGs there. But I really love big cities. I just like the hustle and bustle of everything and how fast paced everything's moving as well. And I think that's quite refreshing from smaller cities like Adelaide. And in Sydney, everything feels iconic. Another thing about Sydney, apart from the food being awesome, is that it's so big, you sort of feel quite anonymous, like you just sort of blend into the crowd. Whereas in Adelaide, I always seem to run into people that I know. But in saying all of this, I think there's a few cons that also come with the place too. I think Sydney's one of those cities that's very easy to romanticize. So living there is quite different to visiting it as a tourist. And from what I've heard, people that just sort of pack up their bags, like me, and leave to go live there, they do feel a little bit lonely. So where am I actually moving to then? Well, I'm going to Perth. And like, it wasn't really my first preference, but from what I've heard, it's great. I guess like some of the pros is that in Perth, I'll be a 10, whereas if I were in Sydney, I'd be like a 6 or something. And it's an opportunity to live in a place where I don't really think I'll have the opportunity to live here later in life. Whereas if I'm gonna live in a place like Perth, then now's the opportunity. So I'm really looking forward to moving there. And I'm really looking forward to getting my own place and being able to furnish it. Because I haven't ever really lived by myself. And I'm looking forward to being able to learn how to cook and cook for myself. But I'm just sad that there's no Sydney fish market in Perth. I guess one of the other bad things is I don't have any friends here yet. But I guess it's gonna push me out of my comfort zone to make new friends. And even though being away from friends and family is like so hard in the beginning, I'm kind of used to it now. And it's great being able to contact all of my friends back home from social media too. So if you're watching now, friends, I wanted to say thank you so much for watching my videos and supporting me on this journey so far. I'm really lucky to have all of you. And at the end of the day, I think what makes a city great isn't the things that it can provide to you, but the people that live there and the friendships that you make.